Hey, Talia here, and today on I Got Back Up, I'm joined by Charlotte Evans. Charlotte is a British skier, sighted guide, and Paralympian. After an ACL injury ended her career, Charlotte was forced to examine her identity, questioning who she really was if she wasn't a skier anymore. So, Charlotte, when you hear the phrase I got back up, what does it make you think and feel?
Gosh, I think that sort of question is not loaded, but you always think of just negatives, don't you? I think of times when actually it's gone really bad. And when I think of that, I think, gosh, what was the worst moment? But actually, there've been really good moments from it. Like it's been, whether it's been a negative or whether it's been something that's knocked you down at that point, I've always managed to find the positive and kind of bring myself back up onto it. So I think as much as it can probably come across like quite a negative question of you're going down and it sounds negative and it's probably the worst time of your life, actually I think you get a lot of lessons from it. I've learned a lot about myself in them moments. So yeah, I see them as quite a good thing, and I think there's something as part of the journey you have to go through to be able to really develop and become who you now are. So yeah, I'm going to try and turn them into a positive one. But I suppose if you wanted an example of that, I think injury is always tough. I think any athlete that is competing or has competed, it's the worst time to get injured because you have no control of it. You have to just kind of ride the wave and kind of do what either the doctor's saying or what your injury is saying.
Mhm.
So I think them times are always difficult to really get through resilience. I think they're the points when you have to really decide how you're going to come back out the other side once this kind of difficult time has ended. But then I can relate that to then moving out of sport and going into business. Like there's times when it just hasn't been an easy transition for me. When you leave sport, especially, it's quite an identity change. I think I really struggled with that identity change when I left. Of who am I? What do I now do? What skills have I got? Am I good at anything? I only know skiing. So I think those points are quite a testing, but also a kind of crossroads for yourselves to be like, okay, what's next? Who am I? What's my new road going to be? So they can be quite down points, I think, but also they're great for now because you know you've rode them all out now. So then you kind of go, I'm ready for the next one to hit me, and then you go on the journey again, don't you?
Yep, yep, you do. You keep going on the journey over and over and over again. And well, it's actually a perfect segue into your journey and your story because you started to mention little bits of it then. But just quickly, the point I wanted to make was about you do learn so much about yourself. Sometimes I wish it was so much easier to learn stuff about yourself. I do, but yeah, sometimes or a lot of times in those darker moments, let's say, you do learn. Wow, you do learn so much about yourself. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think that's when that choice comes, isn't it? Like it's that moment in life where you go, I can either continue feeling how I currently feel, which is negative, struggling, not knowing where the light kind of comes out, or you can try and find little things that are small wins to start with, but then become a bigger win in the end. And I think everybody that's gone through anything in life, and everyone has at certain points in their life, I think everybody will say once you come out the other side, it feels pretty powerful. And I think you feel you've really achieved something massive. And whereas I think if you don't have them moments, I'm not sure you have the high and low
Mm.
that people kind of crave really, because the high doesn't come if you've never had the low. So I think there's pros and cons of obviously having them tough moments.
Mm.
But usually they're hard to see until you're out the other side. But
Yeah, they're really hard to see until you're out the other side. And even when you've gone through them before and then you end up in another one, even though you know it's probably for you and it's working for you and in a way it's working in your favor, you still are like, yeah, but I don't really want to be doing this. I don't really want to be going through this, even though I know it's going to be good. I don't really want to be going through it. But you're right. And I say it as well to really, in my opinion, obviously it's very different for everyone, but for me, to really appreciate the highs, I know the lows I've been through, and vice versa. When you are very low, the highs that you have had and will continue to come, will continue to happen. And it's finding small glimmers of hope, small glimmers of light in any situation.
yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I think yeah, the lows come with the highs and the highs come with the lows, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you can't see the stars in the sky without the darkness behind. So
Exactly. Oh, a nice little phrase. Yeah, it's lovely. But
Thank
yeah,
you.
let's do.
Thank you. So it's time to segue into your journey then, and take us to kind of wherever you want to start.
Okay, well, maybe the beginning then. So I began skiing at the age of 5, purely because my parents came from backgrounds that maybe weren't that affluent, and they found that as kids, sport was quite a good way to keep them on track. And so my dad was super keen to get me into a sport, and didn't really care what sport, but just a sport. And we went to gymnastics, we went horse riding, we did kind of all of them. And I think for him, he wanted a sport that we could do together. He wanted a sport that he could physically be involved in, and was struggling with them ones. He kind of felt I was either walking the horse round or he was just watching me. So he wanted to be involved, and he went on a ski holiday with his friends and was just like, I hate every second of it. It was horrible, but he was like, we could definitely do that together. And when we were younger, they did these fans cards, which basically allowed you to use anything council run for free. So we went down to the local ski centre, and yeah, it started from there really, like just learning how to ski. And then you started going on the whole circuit, and you were racing every weekend. And I suppose then it just kind of takes over your life. I think you your every weekend is filled. You naturally know that Friday evening you're probably traveling somewhere to go for Saturday and Sunday race days. And then you get to a point where you have to kind of really succeed, you've got to move to snow. And so that was what happened. I then ended up moving into the snow season, got selected for the England team at the age of 15. And that was a tough time. I think it was a tough time for lots of reasons. It was tough because I wasn't naturally gifted at skiing. It definitely was something I worked at, and I didn't just put skis on and it worked. But I wanted to be good. I wanted to be the best. I just didn't have maybe the skill to do that. And the coaches were brutal. Like it wasn't a nice environment. It was sometimes really tough. And at points, I suppose that would be your down moments at points, where you didn't feel good enough and you didn't feel that you were ever going to see the light of getting better. But yeah, so we did that. And then obviously we have GCSEs, you have school, you have to, at 15, you're quite impressionable anyway. And I think that's kind of era of life is always quite tough for most children. But I think when you're now no longer at school and you're usually abroad on your own, it probably heightened the difficulty of balancing the both. And then at 18, I won English champion. And I think that's where it started to then feel like I was now on the kind of trajectory to kind of go full time and do that. But I got injured at the British Championships and did my cruciate ligament. And so, like I said at the beginning, an athlete's worst nightmare is injury. But it's part of it also. So you have to kind of figure out what you're going to do and make a plan. So my plan was I'll go to university purely because, and it's your worst comment to even say, but purely because I didn't know what else I was going to do. I had 9 months to fill my time almost, and just thought I'll go to uni. And I was only there 2-3 months. And then the British disabled team contacted me and said, would you be interested in being a guide just whilst you're injured? And just to help out. And at first I said no. I was like, it's absolutely not for me. And then my dad again was like, you haven't even given that a go. You've literally said no to something without even knowing if you're good at it or whether it could be a good opportunity or it could lead to anything else. So I rang them back and said, okay, I'll give it a go. And then you get partnered with somebody that you don't know. You're not like, they don't work together with you and go, right, you're a good match. It's purely figure it out. And then that was it really. I then worked with Kelly in 2010. And then that was it really. The plan was to leave after a year really, and then go back to the British team. And then I didn't. I ended up staying for 6 years, did the games with Kelly, and then diverted again.
And how old were you at this time?
So I joined Kelly at 18.
Yeah.
So young, which I think was probably the tough part because she was a real adult, if that makes sense. She was 25, 26. She had jobs. She'd been to university. She was just like a real grown up. And then you had some 18 really shy girl turn up and go, we're going to do this and we're going to ski like this. And so at first I think it was quite difficult for both of us. I think we both needed to really define our roles and define who kind of took control in certain aspects of the journey. And once we figured that out, it was an absolute match made in heaven. But at the beginning, that kind of rocky road was intense. I think at the beginning, I think she wouldn't mind me saying, but it was a hard navigation to try and figure out who did what was needed for that relationship, and what was going to get us to the point where we were going to then win gold. So yeah, it was a big learning fee for me. Time to not be shy, that was for sure.
Yeah, we've all had that. Don't worry. I remember. I got loads of memories when I think about things like that. But it's in obviously as well navigating everything you were going through at such a young age. You know, you're 15, you're in the team. There's injuries. There's also you were talking about, you know, the whole thing of not being good enough or feeling good enough. You know, everyone's gone through that or continues to go through that every aspect of their life, especially as a teenager. So when you throw something like a competitive professional sport in the mix as well, while you're learning all about yourself as a teenager, um, yeah, it's crazy.
A lot. And I don't think you realise it's a lot because you're with everyone else doing it. I think it's only when you look back you go, that was pretty tough, or like that was a moment that actually you really did define resilience. And I know we talk about, I hear people say this word all the time, and what is resilience and what does that even mean? But I think it's just a part in your life where you go, that was a bit tough, and actually I found a way out the other side of it. So yeah, that was the ski journey was that one really. And then I became injured again at the end of it. I had a big concussion that pretty much put me in a dark room for about 4 months. And I think from that, it was then that moment in life where you go, gosh, I feel skiing's done now. I feel like, and at that time I felt like a product. I felt that I was just something in the wheel that either brought funding or that needed to compete to be able to get the whole wheel still going and still turning. And that pressure was huge. Like that pressure to be no longer injured was huge. I think the pressure to keep the funding felt huge. And there was just all these outer layers really that were just difficult to again navigate. And still pretty young, like 22, still trying to take on the world with all of that. And I think for me, it was time for change. I think after the games, you don't, I don't know, maybe other athletes are different, but I didn't think about the aftermath of that. I just thought, I want to win, I want to win, I want to win. That was the only title that we were looking for. And when you come home and your whole world genuinely changes, and you are doing lots of talks, you're getting MBEs, you're going to the Queen's like palace constantly, like there's a lot, like it's a scene that you don't plan. It's a scene that you don't think is going to happen, or you don't think about, and then all of a sudden you're thrust into it. So I think when I then had the injury after the games, it was very much I needed to figure out who I was really and who my actual true self was, because I think skiing was my identity, and I was definitely led by that. I think I believed that I was nobody unless I was skiing.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that was I suppose a really pivotal point in my life where I kind of had to make that drastic change, that you've got your family that don't know any different. They only know you as skier. You've then got yourself going, I don't actually know what I'm good at. I don't have any skills. I don't know what my qualifications really are as such. What am I going to do? So I think from that point, I then obviously diverted massively into a lot of speeches, a lot of talks and things like that, and did like the Clipper race and did all these charity events and stuff to try and either raise awareness or to kind of do work in the space that I've been doing. We did loads of work in the disability world and trying to raise money for different things, and whether that was going to Ethiopia and building things and getting bells in balls rather for kids that were nowhere near as advanced as we were. And you don't realise until you go to these sort of countries and go, gosh, we're so lucky actually. We're not good at it, and still we're way further ahead than some of the others. So we did loads of work at that, and then I suppose I then came to another point of the crossroads of like, what do you want? Like, what do you want to do? What do you want to make? What's next? And I decided to go into policing. So, and I think I probably diverted, if I'm being honest, to there because there was structure. I needed that kind of same life I had, which was someone telling me almost what to do, when to get up, when to eat, sleep, do. And I think the policing had an element of that. And it worked perfectly for 7.5 years. And then the crossroads happened again for me, and it was time to, they do say 7 years, don't they? But yeah, the 7 years happened for me, and it was time to find the next challenge. And now financial planner, working with athletes, and I've almost done a full circle. I'm back to where my home feels, which is with athletes, and I'm really giving that advice that, yeah, okay, it's financially, but actually the advice after sport as well, and what that looks like for them, and to think about them uncomfortables that no one wants to think about in sport. And yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell, a quick synopsis of what my journey's done.
No, and it's all really interesting, and it's and interesting that you then finish with that it's kind of a full circle, because it's like everything that happened, or every 7 year chunk, let's say, or everything that happened in between, was maybe possibly meant to lead you to, exactly the moment you're in now. But I want to touch upon when you were talking about your identity, because whether it is in sport and you're an athlete moving into, suddenly not being an athlete anymore, or anything that is an identity shift. How did you navigate that? Because we've all been through, or not all of us, but a lot of us will go through, or are going through, maybe an identity crisis or an identity shift, or like you said, something your whole life and all of a sudden it's gone, or you stop doing it and it's like, who am I? What do I do now? Like, what am I good at? How did you navigate through all of this?
Yeah, I think it's tough, and I do think it's really it's everywhere. It's in anything you do. So I had it when I went into policing. I was coming from skiing, and then when I went from policing to then finance, I was doing the same again. I was almost, yeah, but you're known now as the woman who ran this, or and actually when you take a step back, and someone said to me quite quickly in my career that you're not identified by your sport. You are who you are. You've got to form what you bring to the table. And I think when you take a step back and go, actually, when you look at all of these different transitions and pivots, or whatever you want to call them, into different careers, you're still taking the same person, the same skills, you're still transferring them all. So actually, whether I'm skiing down a mountain and I'm using teamwork, or I'm using communication, or I'm using resilience, you then come into policing and you go, I need teamwork, I need communication, I need resilience. You go into finance, I need teamwork, I need resilience, do you know what I mean? So I think actually, if you stop defining yourself in the environment that you're in, and actually defining yourself as what you bring and what you actually do for people, or what you do and what makes you tick, or what makes you feel like you're giving back in whatever sense, I think that's when your identity actually starts to form. And I think I'm very clear in what I bring to the table, or what I'm going to provide a company, or whatever it is now. Whereas I think before I would be like, yeah, but I'm a skier, so I've got a medal. Does that kind of work? And it's nothing to do with that. What I actually bring is stuff that experience of getting to that medal. What I bring is that experience of managing massive teams in policing, the experience of then coming in and being able to communicate with different types of people, whether that's people who have lots of money, or whether it's people that have no money, or whether it's people that are having struggles, or people that are really positive. Whatever it is, you can kind of get a real sense from all of these changes that they're all different, but they actually all have the same inner core, which is you. And you're the inner core, you're the inner person, you're the person that actually brings that to each part of those roles. So I think if I give anything to your listeners, is try and not look at the job itself. I think always look at what you're bringing to it. That's your identity. That's what you're identified by. Actually, no one's going to remember what you did as a job, but they'll remember how you made them feel, or how they were in certain situations. So actually, that's your identity. That's what you're going to be remembered by. So yeah, I would try and just look at more of a, not just skill, but yeah, that feeling piece of what you bring to a team, or an organization, is actually more important than the actual role title itself.
Yeah, so it's not defined by what you do or the sport you do. You are defined by who you are as a person, who you are at your core.
Agreed. Yeah, I think that's what everyone's going to remember, isn't it? Like, I don't hear anybody going, oh, they were a CEO of this company. They go, oh, they had the warmest heart. They made me feel like this, and I don't know. I would like to say that would be what I would bring. Like, I think in everything I've been through or done, it's always been to help people. That has always been my core of what I needed from a job. And I've recently done a podcast on this, actually, about how do you know what your next role is? How do you know what you want to do in life? Nobody knows, really. Nobody actually sits there, really. Well, some people maybe some of your listeners really know exactly what they want to do, but a lot of people I speak to have no idea really what they want to do, or they're in a job that they're not happy with, but they have no idea where they're going to then divert to. And I think for me, like, it comes back to that inner peace again of actually what do I need from a role? What do I want a role to look like? I don't need to know that job title. What do I have to get from it? So for me, I would need to help people. I really enjoy that. I get a lot out of that. I need results. I need really clear goals. So you can start to make a picture of what you almost need from a job more than actually what the job role itself is, which is how I came into financial planning. There wasn't any, I didn't wake up one day and go, oh, fancy financial planning. It was very much like, okay, let's do a spider diagram. Let's figure out what differences do I need that I'm not getting in policing, say, that I now need in this new role. And then you map that around the role and you go, actually, this role's got all of that stuff. Why don't I kind of try that or change that? And I know that's easier said than done. I know I've been challenged on this before about how, you know, better people have families and they can't just take pay cuts or they can't do any of that. But actually, if you're really unhappy, you've only got one go at this. Like, there's only one chance to really enjoy life. And I just think find them avenues, find them ways to make life a little bit simpler of being able to do something you're passionate about, because we work a long time. Like, it's most of our hours, it's most of our days. Like, at least enjoy a bit of it. Like, which is probably why I'm a big advocate for really trying the random, I suppose. I don't think you could ever. There is a theme with all of my jobs I've been through, but actually they're all very. If I put on paper what I've done, they would go, they're so random. Like, why? What on earth like has made you do any of them? But actually, if you look at like we just said, the core theme of them, they're all really similar. They all involve people. They all involve communication. They all involve helping somebody through something. And I think for that, you're winning your ticks on that. Job makes total sense now. In that.
And it's interesting because it's an important point, and you mentioned it before, is about how, again, being defined by every job you did, and you're going, yeah, but I'm now known for this, and now I'm known for that, and how on earth could I ever change into something completely different or be someone completely different? But I think realistically, as long as it matters to you and as long as it's something you want to do, it's not being so scared about what everyone else is going to think. And if it makes you happy, that's all that matters.
I think everyone in stages is going to have an opinion on what you're doing. Like, I've had many opinions on saying that I'm crazy to leave sport because, like, you're good at it, you should do that, you should stay. You then go into policing and everyone goes, I can't believe you're leaving the police. Like, it's such a sturdy, stable job. Do you know what I mean? So everyone's always going to have that opinion. But actually, I'm the one that's got to get up every morning. I'm the one that's got to do that job. So at least choose what you want to do. Yes, get opinions from family and friends. We all do it. I do it. Obviously, I've heard the opinions, so I obviously asked for it. But I think at the same time, you then decide, don't you? You then choose if you want to really listen to it, and does it excite you? Does it make you want to try something new? I love that. I actually hate change, which is a weird thing, but I also love being challenged, and challenge comes with change. So sometimes you have to be in that uncomfortable zone, which I've been in many a times, whether that is skiing, whether it's policing, or whether it's the job I'm in now. Them uncomfortable zones where you go, I don't know what I'm doing. How am I going to find the route here? But I think, yeah, once you find it, it's, again, like we started with, it's quite a powerful feeling of, like, actually you can do anything you want to do if you set your mind to it and really commit some time and work hard for it.
And it's exactly what you're talking about with challenge and change. To change, if you want a really big change in your life, a lot of the times it might come with a challenge.
I agree.
A challenge that you really, again, don't want to go through. But whether it's a physical, mental, emotional, whatever it might be, you have to put yourself through it. I know it's crazy to say that, but you do actually have to put yourself through it, because it's like your comfort zone, the other side of your comfort zone. Once you get through it, the most amazing things can happen the other side. And it's the same thing with challenges. Yes, they can be really difficult. Don't get me wrong. I can firsthand say that, but there really is light at the end of the tunnel. And honestly, sometimes that light is brighter than, you're ever gonna, dream. You sometimes I always say, you can have a dream, but there can be dreams out there for you, like out there in the world, waiting for you, that you've never even dreamt of. They're so big and wild and crazy. You haven't even dreamt of them. Maybe they're not in your like dreamscape yet, but if you challenge yourself and you put yourself through these, situations, you said it. You can do anything you want to do in life. Everyone's, everyone on every aspect in every profession, everyone that's at the top of their game, all sat there at the beginning and had a dream.
So,
And if they didn't continue going through everything they went through and every challenge, because they would have been faced with challenges as well, if they gave up at any challenge, they wouldn't be who they are today. And so you have to, that's how I look at, people as well. They got to where they are. If they can do it, anyone can do it.
oh, I totally agree. And I think that that challenge comes with failure, but we hate that word, don't we? Like, but actually failure is lessons. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've had many, I promise you, like a lot of people will go, oh, you've had it easy. Like you've done this, you've done that, you've moved from here. Honestly, it hasn't been that smooth ride. Like it's been really lumpy. It's been really up and down. But I think a boss once said to me, like, it's how you come out the other side. Like failure is really important because actually it's how you then deal with the failure, come out the other side, and kind of jump on the bandwagon of now the lesson. Like, and actually, like everything I look back on and go, yeah, that was pretty rough. I didn't enjoy that moment. Actually, I look back and go, but I remember that because we all, as humans, we remember the negatives more than the positives. We, especially women, we seem to find the negatives before we ever big ourselves up. But actually, in them moments, then negatives, actually now you can look at and go, I got through that. Like, how did I do that? What did I do differently? And what will I do differently going forward? And because there's going to be more. There's never, I don't know, maybe people have had smooth rides, but I don't know anybody that's had it completely a smooth line that's just kind of consistently been successful. I
Hmm.
think anybody that's had any form of success has been lumpy and it's been up and down. And I think you have to go through them to really appreciate those, like we said at the beginning, the highs and really get to the bottom of them.
Well, because it's not what happens to you, it's what you choose to do next.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it might be, it's how you choose to get through it, how what you choose to do next, what you choose for yourself. And it's all about choosing yourself. And it's back to the we were saying about the opinions. Everyone's gonna have an opinion. Everyone's gonna have an opinion. And most of the opinions are probably gonna be ones you don't want to hear. They're probably gonna be, they may even be negative ones. They may even be ones that make you feel small or limited, or that it's, or they're just completely opposite to everything you want. But and again, like you said as well, some people have families, and I 100% get it. You can't just give up everything all the time. No, you can't. I get that. But I do believe if you do have a dream or you do want something or you have it in your heart, you have to go after it and you have to chase it no matter what anyone else says. Because look, it doesn't matter if no one else believes in you. If you believe in you, that's all that matters.
Yeah, I agree. I would never want to sit with regret. I think that's probably a real thing for me. I don't want to be 70, 80, sitting there going, I wish I'd given that a go. I wish I'd tried that now. Like, you see all these TikToks, don't you? Of like people getting interviewed in the street, and like the older people are always like, oh, I wish I'd traveled more. I wish I'd done this and that. And I think, gosh, yeah, like that must be tough being in that position now where you're wishing you'd tried something. Whereas I'd much rather try and fail and then try something else than be like, I never gave anything a go. But it's that scary, it's that leap, isn't it? It's that leap of
Mm-hmm.
faith. And you do need people around you. I get that. Like, I'm really lucky. I've got a good family, I've got a good partner who are very like, run with it. Like, let's go. Like, my sister would be a prime example. I would see everything as a risk. I'd be like, oh, it seems very risky. And she's like, I see it as an opportunity. And I'm like, she's so right. Like, she doesn't see risk, my sister.
Yeah.
Like, she's amazing. Like, she just is like, everything's an opportunity. Like, there is no risk here. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a great way to look at it. So yeah, anything that you think is a risk is actually an opportunity waiting for you to take or not. Yeah,
And also with failure as well, failure doesn't have to necessarily be failure. What it can also mean is, it's either not for you and you now know that, so you can move past it onto the next thing that's coming for you, or it means, okay, maybe not right now, but that doesn't mean never.
yeah,
That's how
agree.
I also see things. It's like the word no. If it's no, okay, it may mean no, this is not for you at all, so let's find the next thing. Or it might just mean no, but not yet, not right now. Just you need to do some other stuff first, and eventually this thing will come back to you in a different capacity.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it, isn't it? And I think we, as humans, we like to run. I think we like to like be at the end and be perfect and already be at the point where we're like successful and it's happening. And I think Actually, it's that process, and that goes with everything. So we used to have it in sport. The psychologist used to always say to us, stop looking at the outcome. Like, you need to do the process to get to the outcome. And I used to think, oh, Kelly, be quiet. Like, this is such a like miserable statement. Like, I don't care. I don't want to do the process. I want to just win, and I want to like get to the gold bit. But she's so right. Like, and that's in everything. Like, you do, unfortunately, that process can be long. It can be boring. It can be tough. It can be just hard. Do you know what I mean? But actually, you don't deserve the outcome if we're not willing to actually put in the work to get to the outcome, because the outcome feels good. The outcome is amazing, and the outcome gives you that high that we've been looking for. But unfortunately, sometimes you have to do the tough parts to be able to get to that. And that's resilience again, isn't it? That's where the fun bit comes, and the highs actually come because you felt the low to get to the high.
Yeah, trusting the process and being patient. Ah, patience. Oh, patience. Being patient.
I get daily, you need more patience. I'm like, oh gosh. I'm patient with people. I'm just not patient with myself. So I need to work on that. That's for sure.
The P word, patience.
Literally. Yeah.
Oh, so then if you could give someone some advice that was at that crossroad stage, um, and they know maybe it's an identity thing, they know maybe it's not working for them anymore, they feel it's not working for them anymore, and they want to find something new, try something new, discover something new, and they are in that identity crossroads phase, what would you say?
I think I'll do a practical thing here, because I think we can all sit and say, oh, do it. Like, it's great. Like, you should try something new. I'm a big advocate for that because I've done it 3 times. So I'm really pro try it, give it a go. Doesn't work out, move on. But as a practical thing, I would do a spider diagram. So if anybody follows me on LinkedIn or Instagram or anything, you'll see I've been doing posts on these kind of practical elements. But do a spider diagram, put a question mark in the middle of it, and do some legs off it. And literally just think about what you want or need from your next role. And this could be, like I said before, helping people. Is that a pro thing for you? It could be money. It could be, I don't know, like whatever you need, goals, results, whatever you need that is something you're obviously lacking at the moment because you're thinking about change. You're thinking this isn't the right place for you anymore. Think of what you need. So forget the job, because you might not know what that is. If you do, brilliant, you're on a quicker road than most. But if you don't, come up with that plan outside of it and then start looking around. And I think then you start to look at different industries, whether it's to be self-employed, whether it's to be employed, whatever it is, look at them industries and go, right, how can I find a way to find out more about this? So whether that's going on LinkedIn and linking with these individuals and going, can I have half an hour of your time just to talk about X? Can I come and sit with you for the day to talk about what this is like? What does a day look like for you? And okay, this is coming out of your time. Like, I did it with finance. So I spent days with different financial firms, taking annual leave to really understand what that meant and what that looked like, because the risk for me was leaving a job that was really good, it was secure, I was doing well at it. I didn't have to prove myself anymore. I was there. So to move had to be the right decision for me. So I'm one of these people that, yes, okay, I like challenges and I will run for them, but I'll have everything mapped out for me. It will have the plan B, C, D, E lined out. I'm very controlling in that respect. But go and spend some time with these people. Go and sit there and go, is this actually what I've thought it is? Is it what I'm actually looking forward to doing? Do I get excited? And actually what that then does is, if you are excited about it, you've opened up a door of a network that you didn't have. You've also opened up a door of going, I can now speak to these people about potential role, about a job, or you can kind of open up the scope a little bit more. So I think anybody that's thinking about it, write down then pros and cons almost, the challenges of what that looks like, and then start building a picture of kind of what that role could now be. But spend time with people. Like, I don't think you can ever really understand what a job involves if you're doing something drastically different, I mean, until you go and sit with them and do it. And I think the best way for me was to go and sit with all of the different team members to really understand what finance meant and what advising was, for me to then make that really conscious decision when I chose the firm I wanted to work for. They had all the ticks that I was looking for. I knew what to look out for. I knew whether I wanted a big firm, whether I wanted a small firm, whether I wanted it to be boutique, did I want it to focus on certain areas? All of these questions that come later after your spider diagram, I was able to then piece together. But yeah, try before you buy. Go and see it. Go and go and stalk some people on LinkedIn, find these people, and then really try and ask them for half an hour. Because most people, I didn't come across anybody that said no. Everybody was very open, brand new, didn't know who I was, and was open to give me half an hour of their time to discuss their career, to discuss what the environment's like. Was it going to be good for women? Like, for me, financial planning seemed quite male dominated. I'd come from a really male dominated role, whether that was skiing or policing. And so I was like, gosh, is it going to be, will I fit? Am I allowed to do certain things? What are the rules? And you learn quite quickly what kind of department you want to be in. So yeah, that would kind of be my tip instead of thoughts, I suppose.
And you know what? No, and I appreciate it. Thank you. And I think in all of it as well, following your core values, like we said, we were going back to the identity thing as well. It's, maybe not just saying, oh, I've always, yes, if you've always wanted to do a job, of course, see if you can give it a go. But you're right, also following the core values and following what you feel you want to do for yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's so important because you're never going to, if you don't feel those, no job is going to actually work out. Because actually, you can say, I want money, I want this, and you can get to it, and then you go, actually, this company doesn't hold my values or my morals or any of that, and actually, that's going to form a problem. Then that role's no longer, no matter even if it's your dream job, that environment's going to become difficult. So I think start with what you need, and then you work around the rest of it. Because unless you know your actual job, I didn't, so I went around the outside and then came in. But yeah, there's a few little tips.
And things fall into place. They do. Things can start snowballing. And also you can put this to any aspect of your life. It doesn't even have to necessarily be a job. It can be literally anything. Yes,
Exactly.
there are specific things that you think you want, but are they actually going to make you happy? Are they actually going to fulfill you? Is it going to be long? Is it, is there longevity in what you want, or is it just a I need now, but is it really, fueling your insides as well?
Yeah, and I think like you can bring it into your personal life. That's relationships. That's everything. Like there's going to be things that aren't running smoothly in lots of aspects. It doesn't always have to be work. I know we've focused on that business element, but in your personal life, if there's things that isn't working, this is a great exercise to actually do with each other, to really look at what your core values are and go, right, where do we align? Like we did this with the psychologist actually for Kelly and I when we first got together. We at the beginning were struggling to really communicate on what we needed and how it was going to operate. So she got us to sit down and write 3 lists. So this, again, we'll go for tips. This is going to be a whole podcast on tips for people, but a whole, she's got us to do 3 parts to it. So she basically said, what do I love about Kelly? What do I not like about Kelly? And what is my goal? And actually, it's a brutal piece to do, but actually if it's done properly and it's mediated properly, it's amazing. Because actually I got to understand that what Kelly's frustrations were very different to my frustrations, but actually it was communication that was struggling because neither of us could communicate that to each other. So we now had it written down and we were now analysing with somebody else what that meant and what I needed for it. And then you look at the goals section, and then I looked and we were like, we're matching. We had exactly the same goals. Well, that's easy then, because actually you don't have to be best friends with people all the time in work or in anything. What you need is to figure out if you've got a common goal, and usually you do. The goal will be similar because you're all working in the same place. You're all trying to achieve something that is there. So actually, then you can work backwards with the goals. So whether that's in your personal life, business life, that's another thing that you can kind of. And I know I sound like I just love lists and I love paperwork, but I think sometimes it's harder to communicate these things than it is to just write down how you're feeling and then kind of address it in a calm manner. And yeah, in some situations you do need somebody externally like to kind of mediate that. I think if Kelly and I had written down things we loved and hated about each other, I think we'd have just argued the whole time saying, but that's not how I felt. So I think that probably wouldn't have worked. But actually the process managed properly is actually amazing and really made us understand each other. And yeah, I think that's probably why we became so close. We had such strong trust. We had like best friends by the end of it, and like bridesmaid at her wedding, like very, very different environment than it was when I started. And that's purely because we got to the root of really what was not working and then developed what could now work.
Yeah, no, I really like it. And it works in all aspects of your life. It really does. And if you have a common goal, then or the values or what you both want out of whatever, I mean, what both want, but whoever it is or whatever you're going through, if it is two people and you want the same things in anything, then you'll work through the pros and cons, negatives, positives. You'll work through everything else if the trajectory is what you both want.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's really, really interesting. I like that a lot. It's a good one. I haven't really thought about that before, so I like it a lot.
You can thank our psychologist. I can't take credit for it.
I will do. Thank you very much to them.
It's so good.
So, is there anything else that you'd like to share or talk about today?
No, I think we've covered a load really. But I think for me, like, we talk a lot about confidence and we talk a lot about how do you get confidence. I was at a conference yesterday about this, and I don't think anybody knows really the answer. I think the only thing I do know is that we're all pretty awesome and we're all pretty great at certain things. And I think coming together and helping each other on that journey, and especially for women, like, I think the journeys are different. Like, they're not the same always. But actually, if we work together and really make a common theme for it, and actually really promote the right people in the right jobs, I think actually it's going to be a pretty awesome country to be in. So yeah, I think for me, do it, go for it, and enjoy the journey. Really, it doesn't have to always be negative and not a fun journey. It can be pretty fun no matter what.
They can, and exactly, you are awesome. You are amazing, no matter what anyone makes you think, or even you make yourself think, because we do that to ourselves. You are, to anyone listening, you are an amazing person, whether you feel it or you don't, but you are.
No, I agree, and I think we're very lucky. We're very lucky. But yeah, if you want to follow me, then please do, and yeah, engage and if you've got any questions, then yeah, feed them in.
Amazing, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here today. Life will knock us down, sometimes hard, and sometimes more than once. And when it feels impossible, know that your story isn't over yet. Sometimes when everything is falling apart, it's really falling into place. You have the power to rise, to heal, to make magic, and to evolve. And you have the power inside you. We all do. You have the power to get back up.